What's up guys, it's Cody here, and today the official iOS 11 firmware was dropped. So we're no longer in beta stages. iOS 11 is officially publicly released. So of course in this video I wanted to go over all the top features and changes that you can expect to see in this newest iteration of iOS. So if you're completely new to iOS 11, then this is going to be a really good refresher that's going to get you really familiar with the firmware. And if you watch my beta videos, then you're going to see some of the same features that you saw in my previous videos, but you're also going to see the final release. So exactly what is in the official release of iOS 11. Now before we get started here, I'll put a link in the description for this wallpaper that I'm using on my device right now. It's actually an iOS 11 wallpaper that I've just blurred out, and I think it just looks a little bit better on the home screen. So if you guys want to check it out, I'll link it in the description. Also, let me know if you've already updated to iOS 11 or if you're staying on iOS 10 down in the comments below. I'm really curious to see the adoption rate of iOS 11. But let's go ahead and jump into these new features. So first, let's take a look at the lock screen. So the lock screen is going to be a little bit different than what it's like on iOS 10. So here on the lock screen, you can actually access your older notifications just by swiping up from the middle of the screen or to the lower portion here. So you can see that you have all the earlier today notifications that you can scroll through. If you want to open these up, then you can just swipe over, tap on open. And you also have the ability to swipe to the left, and it's going to give you those options of either clearing that notification or viewing it. So we just tap clear, and then it clears it out. And if you wanted to, you can always clear them all out just by tapping that X button right there. Next is the control center. So if we swipe up on the control center, you're going to see that it looks quite a bit different than it does in iOS 10. And that's just the fact that this is all a one-page solution now. So all the toggles and everything that you need inside of your control center is now just on one page. You have your little widget right up here for music. You have all of your sliders right here where you can slide up for brightness, the volume, do not disturb, and you can actually customize these to add whatever buttons that you want to. I've added pretty much all that I have. So if you don't have Apple TV, of course you can take that away, find my friends, just all kinds of stuff that you can add quick shortcuts directly to your control center, and there's no need to swiping to the left or the right to go to your media controls, for your music, or just trying to access your toggles. Everything is right here, right in the first page of the control center. Now, not only is the control center redesigned, but it also has 3D touch capabilities. So if I go ahead and 3D touch on like Wi-Fi, you can see that it's going to open up all of these different toggles that I can select and choose from. So you can do this for different widgets as well. So if you wanted to 3D press on the actual media controls where you're playing music, then you can open all of this up. Of course, this looks just a whole lot better in my opinion than the normal music widget. But you can see if we go back here, we can long press on screen mirroring. I mean, you can basically long press on almost anything here. So if we long press on the brightness, then that's actually going to give you the option to turn on night shift right there in your control center. I won't go through every single option just because I know this is going to be a long video, but you can test all these out for yourself once you make that upgrade. Now, not only that, but right there in the control center, we actually have the ability to screen record our device. So this button right here, if we tap on that, then in 3 seconds, it's going to start recording our screen. You'll get a little bar right up here at the top once we swipe down saying that my phone is being recorded, and then you can do whatever you want to. If you're trying to show somebody something or send a video of what your phone's doing, if it's acting up, then you can always just record it, stop it right there, and it's going to save directly into your photos, as you can see right here. Now also here on our lock screen, we have our new music widget, and I think this just looks a whole lot better just for the fact that the album artwork is right there and it looks cleaner. You also have your AirPlay that you can tap on right here, and it's going to give you those options in order to play this music on, whatever AirPlay devices that you have. And like I said, the control center is really cool, but to take full advantage of it, you're going to have to customize it. In order to do that, you just go into your settings, tap on control center, and then tap on customize controls, and this is where you can add or remove any of the toggles that you want to have readily available right there in your control center. Now, another new feature that we have here is do not disturb while driving. So if we go ahead and open up our settings, the way that you can access this and turn it on or turn it off, whatever you want to do, is just go into your do not disturb option, and then right down here at the bottom you have do not disturb while driving. So you can activate this automatically if you have that toggled on, or when you're connected to car Bluetooth, or manually. And I've noticed when it's set to automatically, it usually will turn on automatically when you connect to Bluetooth, or you start going at a certain speed. So if you're driving and you're going like 50 miles an hour, then it automatically turns on. Now right down here at the bottom, you can choose what you want your auto reply to be. So I just have the default right here, and then you can select who you want to actually send that to. You can send that to all contacts, you can send that to just your favorites or your recent. So it's a handy feature to have when you're driving and you get a text. Something else that you can do that's really helpful is being able to move multiple applications at once. So in order to do that, you just get into wiggle mode here. And then once you move this icon around, you can start to tap on applications, and they're going to just jump to your other finger that you can move all at the same time. So if we go ahead and tap on this, then you can see that we can move all those applications all over at the exact same time. Now when you take a screenshot with your device, just like that, it's going to go directly into the corner of your device. And if you leave it there for a while, it's going to disappear and it'll go directly into your photo albums like you would normally have it. But right here, you can edit it really, really quick, or if you want to, then you can just share it directly from your home screen or wherever you took the screenshot from. So you can just tap on that share button and then share it however you want to, or like I said, use these options to edit it. You also now have the ability to turn on one-handed keyboard. So in order to do that, you just tap and hold on the home button, and then you see these options right down here at the bottom for the left and the right side. So if I was going to type with my right hand or my right thumb, then I would tap just like that. And then you have all of the keys right here so you can type quicker because it has a shorter reach. And then if you want it back to where it was, then you can just tap right here and it goes back to normal. You can also have a new public profile in Apple Music so you can connect with your friends, see what they're listening to, and share your favorite music. I don't use Apple Music, so I can't really show you that too much, but they're trying to make this more of a social thing to make it a little more interactive. In the new Notes app in iOS 11, you can scan documents as well. So in order to do this, just open up a new app, the new note, and then tap on the plus button right here, and then you can tap on scan documents. So normally you would have to have a third-party application in order to do this, but here you can see that you can start to scan documents directly from your phone. It's actually freaking out because I have a phone behind me. Let's see if I can get it to scan this piece of paper right here. All right, so here you can see I just took a scan of just a note from GroveMade that they sent me, but you can scan documents, you can send them off, and it's all very easy to do. And then once you save it, you can see it right here, saved directly inside the note. Now something else that you can do here in the Notes app is if you tap right here on the share button, then it's going to give you an option to change the lines and grid. So if you tap on this, this is going to be a whole lot more helpful in probably an iPad just because you can't type on these lines, but you can use an Apple Pencil. So if you tap on something like this, then we can scroll down here. You can see the ruled paper that you have here, and then you can write on that with like an Apple Pencil. Now, if we wanted to pin this note, then we can do so just by swiping to the right here, and then it pins it to the top. So we just tap on that, and now it's pinned. You also now have a completely redesigned App Store. So if we go into that, the first thing you're going to notice is this new Today tab. So that's going to be the first thing that you see when you open up the App Store. So this is going to have featured app, videos, stories, and just lists of apps here. I would just describe this as the front page of the App Store that you can just get a quick look of what's trending and what's new, what's hot. And if you're looking for new apps to discover, this is the place to go. Next is the apps and games section. So you can see that these are completely separate now. So there's no longer having to filter it out. These are completely separate tabs. So if you're looking for games or if you're looking for apps, then you can just scroll through here and you can check out exactly, what you want to see. The cool thing about the games app, or any other apps actually, is that these videos will automatically play as you scroll through. And you also have the ability to scroll to the left and you can see these different applications right there that are going to automatically play those videos as well. Now, I like the autoplay in the App Store, but of course, if you don't like it, you can turn it off. And you can do so right here in the settings. You can go into iTunes and App Store right here, and then video autoplay right there. You can turn it off or go to Wi-Fi only. You also get a newly redesigned podcasts app that looks very similar to Apple Music. So you have your tabs here, you have Listen Now, Library, Browse, Search. Most of the time I'm just listening to Joe Rogan. That's pretty much the only person that I listen to right now. If you guys have some good podcast suggestions, let me know in the comments below because I've been looking for quite some time. And Joe Rogan's the only person that I listen to on a regular basis. Siri can now translate things. So let's say, how do you say "where's the bathroom" in Spanish?
In Spanish, where's the bathroom is "¿Dónde está el baño?"
So one, it's really cool that Siri can do this now. And the other cool thing is that Siri is insanely better than she was on iOS 10. She's so much quicker, her results are so much better, and I've found myself using her a whole lot more than I did previously. You also notice that we have a new little animation down here for Siri. And you'll also notice that Apple's made more improvements to Siri's speech engine to make it sound more natural and less robotic. You have other things like new male Siri voice and just a new UI for Siri. Also here in the settings, if we go into General and Accessibility, and then we go into Siri, there's an option here where you can type to Siri. So if we toggle this on, this is going to allow you to, well, obviously type to Siri. So if we open this up, you'll see that you can type directly to Siri. Now, this is not something that I would personally do. The only time I use Siri is when I don't want to type something in. But it has that option if for whatever reason you want to do it. So live photos are still a thing, and if you decide to take a live photo, or you move your hand around, whatever, and you can actually edit these now directly inside the Photos app on iOS 11. You couldn't do this before, but if we go ahead and tap on Edit, then you can see that you can trim this up right here if you wanted to, and you can mute the entire video or the live photo, and then once you're done editing, you just tap Done, and it's going to edit that live photo. Now, where these live photos get interesting is when you swipe up. So when you swipe up, you have the ability to change the effect. So you can use the live, you can use the loop, you can use the bounce. You know, it's very similar to what Instagram does with their boomerang effect, but you can see right here, that's how it works. So something else you can do here, if we go into my photos, you'll notice that I took a portrait photo. So if you don't know what portrait mode is, it blurs out the background and then makes the subject, which is this phone right here, in focus. So it blurs out everything in the back, so get that nice bokeh effect. Now you can turn that off after you take the picture in iOS 11. So if you go to a portrait photo, you tap on Edit, and you can see the portrait button right up here at the top. And if we tap on that, then everything back here gets unblurred out. So it comes back into focus, more or less. So if you tap on that, you can see you get that bokeh effect again, or that portrait mode effect, and you can turn it off right there. Another finally feature that we got on iOS 11 is the ability to look at GIFs, or GIFs, however you say it, right there within your Photos app. So this is a GIF right here that's playing directly inside my Photos app. You also have a different app drawer. So if we tap right here, you can see your entire app drawer right down here at the bottom that you can scroll through. It gets bigger as you scroll, so you can see those applications a little bit easier. So if we tap on one of these, then it's going to open right up with those stickers that we can use or whatever else that it has available for you. Now, something that didn't ship with iOS 11 that I was really excited about that's coming in a little bit later update is Apple Pay Cash. So what this does is allow you to send money directly inside iMessage. So if I wanted to send, $20 to my sister, then I would just open up my conversation with my sister, then I would just use Apple Pay Cash to send her that money. Another feature that I like in Messages is the ability to swipe to the right and hide alerts. So that's basically just putting on, like Do Not Disturb, because you're not going to get notified for those notifications. In Apple Maps, you can do the one-handed zoom now. So you just tap once, tap again, and then you zoom in and out with your finger. So it's basically just a double tap and then hold, and then you can zoom in and out with one finger. So that's really nice when you're using one hand on your maps. And we also have the poor man's dark mode in iOS 11 using smart invert colors feature. So I think I have this set up to the triple click. I do. So you can see if I go ahead and open up settings that everything is going to be in dark mode. And this looks a whole lot better than it did previously on iOS 10, because when you did this, when you used invert colors, it just inverted all the colors. Now, Smart Invert actually takes applications and it just puts a little bit of a tint on them. So you can see right here that it doesn't look exactly the same, but you can tell the big difference in iOS 10 right here. This is with just the invert colors, and this is with Smart Invert on my right. Hopefully we're going to be getting ready for actual dark mode in iOS 11, but if you go through several applications like Messages, you can see that you still get dark mode right here, which looks really good, and it's going to work in a whole lot of the standard applications that come directly on your phone. And you also notice here, if we go into Photos, that everything's inverted except for the photos, which is what you would want. Same thing for if we go into our weather, you can see we have that dark background right there, so it looks a little bit different than it would without that Smart Invert filter. So you can just turn that on just like that. Now, in order to access Smart Invert through the triple click, you just go into Settings, you go into General and then Accessibility, scroll all the way down here and then go to Accessibility Shortcut and then tap on Smart Invert Colors. You also have an emergency SOS feature, so you can access this on your lock screen. So this is going to be obviously when you need an emergency, you need to call like 911 or whatever the number is in your country. So if we go ahead and open this up to the lock screen, all you have to do is hit the power button 5 times and it's going to open up the emergency SOS option. Now if you're running low on space, there's a new UI and some new options here for your iPhone storage. So if you go into your settings, tap on General, tap on iPhone storage, you can see it's going to load up some suggestions here that's going to allow me to save quite a bit of space. So you can see iCloud photo library. I can automatically save almost 57 gigs if I upload and store my entire library on iCloud. Of course, the way that they're doing this, of course, this is an option to basically pay some more money to Apple for iCloud storage. But you also have some other options down here, which I can auto delete all old conversations. So I'd save 14.5 gigs and it's going to delete all the messages that were sent or received over a year ago. If I tap on Show All right here, you can see you have the option to offload unused apps. So it's going to delete and get rid of those applications, uninstall them from your device if you don't use them. And it gives you some options to basically go through your personal videos and see if you want to delete some of those, or you can review large attachments, which you can see are up to 22 gigs on my device. Of course, going down here, you're going to get the same type of setup that you had on iOS 10, where you can see how much data is being stored by particular applications here. But this just makes it a whole lot easier to see what is on your device and how to manage that if you need to save space. Still here in the settings, if we go into General, you can actually go into your background app refresh. So here you can see you have the option to turn off background app refresh right here, or you can make sure that you're only on Wi-Fi when you do it. So just depending on what you want to do, this can save some battery life. For me personally, I'm not struggling with battery life right now, so I have it set up to refresh all applications in the background, whether or not I'm on Wi-Fi or cellular. But of course, you can toggle these off individually if you want to as well. If we go into our notifications, you can see that if we tap on Show Previews, you can change this to where it shows it only when unlocked or never. So the preview is actually just what that message is about or the contents of that message. So if you don't want anybody to see it for whatever reason, then you can set this up to never show or just when your device is unlocked. You'll also notice the notification style. If we tap on this, there's no more alert style banners. You now have the temporary banner or the persistent banners. You also have a new section right here called Accounts and Passwords. All your accounts that are right here, you can tap on those, you can manage those, and if you have apps and website passwords, then you can tap right there and it's going to tell you exactly what those passwords are so you can retrieve them if you need to. Now with the iPhone 10 and the removal of the home button, you now have what is called the side button rather than the power button on the iPhone 10. So since that change has been made in iOS 11, they have added a shutdown button inside of settings. So if you go into General and you scroll all the way down here, you can tap on Shutdown, and that's going to allow you to slide to power off your device. Jumping back here into iMessage again, you can tap and hold, and now you have a couple new effects. And one of those is going to be the echo effect, which you can see right there, and also the spotlight effect. You also have a new options in the settings of Safari. So if we open up Safari here, you can see that you can restrict all access to your camera and microphone right there. So I have that toggled on, and if you never want Safari to access your camera or your microphone, then you can toggle that off, which I never have a reason that Safari needs to access either of those, so I go ahead and turn it off. And while we're here, we'll go ahead and ask websites not to track me as well. Now in the spotlight here, you can do conversions as well. So if we wanted to do 100 feet in centimeters, you can see that it's going to give you the answer right there. Now you have to be pretty specific in how you ask this, because if you type 100 feet in 2 centimeters, then it's not going to work. If we open up Safari here, you can 3D press on the tab button down here, and it's going to allow you to close all the tabs that you have. You can close that specific tab, or you can open up a new tab. Now one thing I didn't talk about on the lock screen is the actual animation of when you unlock your device. So if we go ahead and do that, you're going to notice that the lock screen will actually scroll up as it unlocks, just like that. So on iOS 10, you can see here, if I go ahead and unlock the device, it basically just zooms right in. But now on iOS 11, you get that different little swipe up animation. You also have some newly designed status bar indicators right up here at the top. You also see some small changes in the applications themselves in iOS 11 that you probably already noticed, especially if you have the calculator right there on your home screen, because that looks a whole lot different. But if you tap on the calculator, you actually get a new design inside the calculator as well. So you have this circular buttons that you didn't get in iOS 10. Same thing for the App Store icon that you can see right there. That looks a whole lot different. I don't know where iTunes is on my phone, but here it is right there. You can see that's changed as well. You can see the passcode UI looks a little bit different as well, so you get that nice blur. And here's iOS 10 just for reference. The phone app UI also looks a bit different here. You can see the different circular buttons. They just don't have that outer ring like you see on iOS 10. Something else you'll notice in the spotlight are these Siri suggestions. So these Siri suggestions are allowing you to just tap on one of these. If you're looking for the weather channel, weather in Plano, or weather radar, you can just tap on that rather than having to type it all out. You can see right here on iOS 10 that you don't get that. Once you type in weather, it's just looking for weather, and then you can see the weather right below it. Another change on the home screen is that you no longer have the icon labels in the dock on iOS 11. So it looks a whole lot cleaner, and I like that. You also see here that we have a new UI for videos. So you have all the buttons right here that this is dark look, and it just looks a whole lot better, looks a whole lot cleaner, and definitely an upgrade in my opinion. The animation on iOS 11 when you open up applications is slightly different as well. So if we tap on the clock app, you can see that zoom animation, and you just have a little bit of a different animation there. So if we do it both at the same time, you can see the difference. You have a new overlay when you try to purchase something from the App Store. So if we tap on that, you can see this nice little pay with Touch ID animation where you can just scan your finger and then purchase the app. Something also really nice about playing videos is when you hit the volume rocker, you see that nice little volume HUD right up there in the top left-hand corner, rather than taking up the entire screen, which you'll see right here on the home screen. So that's still insanely annoying. Nobody wants it, nobody likes it, but Apple just says, we don't care, we're leaving it, because it's been there forever. iOS 11 also has FLAC support using just the built-in media player. In the clock app under timer, you now have the options to set a second as well. So it used to just be hours and minutes, but now you have the option and the granularity to select it down to seconds. Now, of course, with iOS 11, we get some new wallpapers. So if we go into wallpaper here, and once that loads up, choose a new wallpaper, we tap on stills, you can see all the new wallpapers right here. So these three, so all those rainbow ones, and then all these flower ones right here. And of course, this beach wallpaper right there. Now, I don't have a QR code to scan because honestly, I don't know who used QR codes, but you can actually scan a QR code using your camera in iOS 11. So if you use that, regularly or ever, well, there you go. Also here in the settings, if you want to set up your TV and connect it to your device, you can see if we tap on TV provider, there's actually quite a few more TV providers that you can sign in right now. So if that's something you've been looking for and Apple just hasn't had the TV provider available to you, I would definitely check now if you've updated to iOS 11 and check to see if it's available. And now here on the iPad, you can see we have a new Mac style floating dock right down here on iOS 11. So you can add more than 6 icons down here, and also your recent apps and continuity apps that you can see right there, like Safari, can be shown up right there on the bottom right edge. Also, when you're inside applications like settings, you can actually swipe up and it's going to bring up the dock right here. So you swipe up just like that in any application and you're going to have quick access to your dock. You also have new multitasking, and if I wanted to, I can actually pull up applications directly out of the dock and just drop it, and it's going to populate right there on the screen. Now we also have a new app switcher. So if we go ahead and swipe up right there, you'll see what that new app switcher looks like. So we have all of our grid view for all the applications that we have, and then we have basically our control center right over here on the right hand side. So you have all your widgets and everything that you have, just like on the iPhone that I showed you, but this new grid switcher is what you're seeing that's a little bit different. Now in this grid view, you can actually swipe up on applications to close out of them, just like that. Now you're also going to have a new Files app. So if you tap on that, this is going to be your file browser for your iPad. Now when you're on the lock screen here, you can actually tap on your device with an Apple Pencil, and it's going to bring you right into the Notes app. So you don't have to unlock your device or anything like that. You can see it's still locked, and you can just jot down something if you need to for whatever reason. Now, if you were just in your notes, then doing this is actually going to bring up that last note that you were in. But when the device has been locked for a little while, or you haven't been in the Notes app and the Notes app's been closed out, then it's just going to bring up an empty note. Not to mention, you can use your Apple Pencil in the Notes app now. Now, we actually got a new keyboard on the iPad as well. So you see all these numbers as well as all these symbols down here above the actual keys. So rather than hitting the Shift button, you can literally just pull down on those in order to type them. So you don't have to hit the Shift key button anymore. You can just type them in very easily just by flicking the keys down. Jumping back into the control center, you'll see that we get a flashlight on the iPad right there. So if that's something you've been missing on the iPad, you have that flashlight there in iOS 11. Alright guys, that's all I got for this video. I hope you enjoyed the overview of iOS 11 and hopefully you're walking away with a little bit more knowledge and all the new features that you get with this firmware update. Of course, if you want to stay up to date with everything Apple as well as anything tech that I want to cover, or if you ever just want to see my videos again, make sure you hit that subscribe button and I'll see you guys in the next video.